Hey guys, as always, the Gentleman Snark here, and I'm with my co-host.
I am Flamehawk.
And here we're going to bring you another review of God of High School, this time on episode 2. So we got quite a few things to talk about here. Before we get into that, if you like what you see here, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. So, God of High School episode 2. If you listen to our first review on episode 1, you notice that while we didn't hate it, we didn't love it either. And in this episode, I have to say, this is kind of a reoccurring trend where it's not terrible, but it's not the best either. It really isn't the best. I'm just going to get into what I didn't like about this episode. For starters, I do not like how they are rushing through. I really don't like how they're rushing through, especially the scene where Jinmori, Yumira, and Handai are walking together and they're pretty much trying to show their motivations as to why they're in the God of High School tournament. I don't like how they just zip through that. Jinmori's, they zip through that. The Handai's, they zip through that, which is the most important one in my honest opinion. His is the most important one. They really should have spent time on this. Jinmori's reasoning is mainly he's a shonen main character. He's the Goku of the group. He just wants to fight strong characters. So I can understand why they skipped over that. Yumira's, I do appreciate they did spend a bit of time on Yumira's. Basically, she's the daughter of a dojo of a swordsmanship. So basically her job is she wants to kind of revive the family name, revive the honor of the dojo, bring forth a successor. So I like that they spent time on her character and on her motivations, which is why I suspect that maybe in another episode we could delve into the other characters' motivations as well. At least I hope so, because again, Handai's, if you pay close attention to those brief clips that they showed, one of them shows somebody in the hospital. Now, who that person is, not going to get into because that's spoiler territory, but trust me folks, that's going to be very important down the line, and I really hope this anime gives it justice. So more importantly, what else did I not like about this episode? Well, the bonding aspect between the three characters, it seems the pace that they're going, it seems like it's coming out of nowhere, because it's not really a spoiler now since they kind of ruined the whole moment, but the moment where Jinmori lost and dropped Yumira's sword into the river and pretty much they're all looking to try to team together, they show up with flashlights. See, in the webtoon, if I remember correctly, they got into a fight with a biker gang. That's how that went. They got into a fight with a biker gang, and it really showed up with both Jinmori and Handai shows up at the river with the headlights of the biker gang to help Yumira find the sword that she lost during the scuffle. So again, it's moments like these, don't get me wrong, the moment was fine enough, but I really feel like it would have been impactful if they kind of showed them going through some sort of struggle to make it more believable, but they're all together and becoming close friends, because all they've really done with each other at this point in the story is they stopped the purse snatcher and that's it. In my opinion, that's not enough for me to believe that they're really this familiar, in my honest opinion. So that's just it there. I don't like they're rushing through the motivations, and they're really trying hard to make these characters seem all close when I don't think it's quite earned yet. That's just my opinion. Next thing that I did not like, and this really was kind of annoying me, the fights that were outside of the main ones were just kind of zipped by. They were just whoosh, zipped by. No one really, they just were fighting a whole bunch of fodder, no names, and all that kind of stuff like that. And I get it. They're in a tournament. You have to show doing something. You can't show epic fights throughout the entire episode. You have to show some story stuff. But if that was the case, I felt like they should have cut those fights. The ones that were fighting the fodder, they should have cut those fights and focused more on the character's motivation here. We should have seen more on how they were invited, because again, they just skipped through Jinmori and how he was invited by the GOH tournament, how he was introduced by the blonde guy. They just skipped through that, and we've seen several elements hinted throughout that in the 2 episodes, but yet they refuse to show what that actual interaction happened. Now, I'm trying hard not to complain too much, because the way they're setting this up, I feel like they're trying to set this up in a sort of storytelling fashion where all of this stuff that they don't want to show us now will be revealed when it really needs to be relevant for a bigger impact. That's the vibe I'm getting off of, and I'm hoping that once we get to that point, it'll actually pay off for the reason why they make so many of these story changes in the beginning. That's my hope.
My opinion is I liked some of the aspect. I liked that they made an attempt to make the audience understand why they should care about the series. However, they seem to do it in a very rushed manner that I can tell probably isn't exactly how it was from the manhwa, but pretty much I could tell they're cutting corners. It seems like they're doing this through the series at this point, because they cut corners in the first episode. They rushed through some of the aspects of the second episode. It seems to be an ongoing trend of this series, which isn't that bad for some people that are brand new to the series, but I can imagine that if you've followed the series since it came out on Webtoon, you're not a fan of it. Hopefully that changes, but at this point it looks like that's just a trend that's just going to continue to happen.
One more dislike I wasn't really a fan of, and this one's a small nitpick, I won't lie, because keep in mind it is an anime, they can't focus on every single character, but with the Tai Chi guy, when he was about to fight and he had that moment where he tried to control his emotions while getting pummeled, there was a scene where he pretty much showed, I'm assuming that was his master, because I've read the webtoon, I know that was his master. He was imagining doing Tai Chi against that tree. I felt it was a little bit of a missed opportunity to kind of show, because in the webtoon they showed how he actually met his master, how it was due to an accident and the master kind of like returned his kindness and whatnot. I kind of wish we could have gotten a brief glimpse of that to see his character, but it is what it is. He's not really a main character, so I can understand why they kind of just threw that by the rug. But moving on from dislikes, let's talk about what we did like about this episode. So, for starters, the animation. Now, again, the brief couple of fights against the fodder, it was nothing. It was literally just a montage of them winning their fights. Absolutely nothing. What I did like, though, was that when it came down to the Northern Taekwondo user against the Tai Chi user, they really showed some crisp animation there during the fight sequences. I gotta say, nowhere in that fight did I really see that they were reusing animation. Nowhere did I feel bored. No, I thought it was very intense there. They really managed to show both styles off, in my honest opinion, doing it justice throughout the entire fight choreography. So I really did appreciate that at the very least. One thing I did appreciate is, going back to Ymira, is that I really do like that they spent time on her reasons for joining the tournament. They really spent time on that. I like that aspect. We need some motivation. We need to understand why we want to root for these characters. So them focusing on Ymira a bit, I do appreciate that, and I really sincerely hope that in the future episodes they do go back to Handai's and Jin Mori's motivation. Mostly Handai's, because I feel like that's the most relevant. Now, one big thing that I really did like is that, one, they finally reveal Mujin Park, who's pretty much the head of this entire tournament. And they finally name-dropped pretty much the superpowers of this universe, which can't really say the name of, but I think it was called like Charyok or something like that. Really did like that they finally showcased that, okay, the superpowers, they gave it a name now. We have a name to go off of. We understand that superpowers will indeed be introduced into the series eventually. When and how, not sure yet, but we do know that it's coming, so it gives us, the audience, something to look forward to, because now we see, all right, the head of this tournament has some sort of superpower. All right, do anybody else have this power? Or any of, like, what about the judges? Like, really is interesting. It really leaves people to speculate and want them to leading more. So I did appreciate that. They're giving us a hook. They're giving us a hook here. So I really did like that aspect here. One thing I did think was weird, though, going back to the fight choreography, is the one instance where the Northern style user was pretty much lost his pants and he threw that kick. The way they showed him throwing that kick in the slow motion with that animation, it looked very weird. Like his foot was a bit inverted while he threw that kick. Didn't quite understand that. So, Flamehawk, you have anything to add?
I enjoyed the animation as well. I thought, I'm really enjoying this new style with like sort of 3D effects, especially when they show the arena. That was a nice 3D animation effect that I thought really makes this anime stand out. I liked the choreography from what I could see. However, they did rush through the fighting, so couldn't see too much. But from what we did see, I think there are some sprinkles there to get enticed by what's to come. This series also showed that pretty much it's not unwilling to get, grisly at some points, because that last fight really was starting to get brutal. I'm not talking about like Baki style, but still, if you're pulling someone's arms out of their sockets, that's not exactly great to see, but it is, interesting within a fighting tournament style.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. That's why I say the animation really looked, because honestly, it really made it really sold that this is a bit cringy, not in the bad way, but more in like he's really yanking out this man's arm out of its socket. I really got that vibe. But there's one important thing that I really am happy about, because I know they like to skip across the main character's motivation, but I do like with the Northern Taekwondo users, I really like that they gave him a bit of characterization by showing his flashback. I really do love that, and I especially love that because the two characters that we see in this flashback will become important characters down the line. One of them you will see, I would assume, later on in season 1. I'm really happy they did this because I thought for sure they were going to skip past that entirely, that they weren't going to show either of those characters. I'm very happy about this because there's a good chance, a very good chance, that if this anime does well, season 2, it will most likely definitely be on the horizon here. I am very happy about that. There's some more epic fights to come. I can't wait to see those. Hope they're done justice. So one small aspect though I do have to discuss, and I'm kind of going all over the place here, but one thing I do have to discuss, and I'm hoping they do bring on to the anime at some point, is the level system. They never properly explained or showcased the level system. It's like nobody really cares. And the reason why I say this is because most of the characters were surprised that Jin Mori was able to stop the Northern style Taekwondo user. And if you're just an anime only, you're not going to understand why they're so surprised, except the fact that, you know, Jin Mori is mostly seen as a lazy guy. But for us webtoon readers, just to give you a brief thing, is that the level system is a big part of the series. The main reason why people were so in awe of Jin Mori taking him down was because in the webtoon, he's showcased, the Northern style user is showcased as level 12, while Jin Mori, he's level 6, probably under the lower range, which is why, if you remember in the first episode, so many people were about to gang up on Jin Mori because they originally thought, oh, he's level 6, he must be the weak guy. Now, why it's such a big deal to really focus on the level aspect is because during the fight with the Northern style user, at least in the webtoon, when Jin Mori pretty much blocked his kick with his own kick, Jin Mori went from level 6 and he jumped to level 13 and then went back to 6. So basically think of how in Dragon Ball Z, where they could pretty much hide their power level and control it at will, Jin Mori pretty much did something like that. And now everybody was confused because apparently he was the only one at the time, spoilers, that was able to do that. So I really felt like this could have been really, they really could have impacted this episode a little bit more if they spent time doing the level system. This is why I kind of say that this series, at least for the first couple series, they're really rushing through it. They're not really giving a lot of explanation as to what we need. Now, again, the way this story is going, I am expecting for them to touch on these things later on. I'm just hoping that when they reveal these things later on throughout the season, it'll actually build up the hype for the whatever moments they're trying to set up. That's the only thing that's the only thing I'm really hoping for. But all in all, it was not a bad episode. As a matter of fact, I would even say it was a little bit above last week's episode. But again, it's still not up there to what I expect from a webtoon fan. That's just my personal thing here. Though, quick side note, did you happen to catch when they were rotating the stadium for the GOH tournament and you notice they had both the webtoon logo and Crunchyroll? Am I the only one that caught that?
Yep, they had both of those.
Yep, that talk about product placement here.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was a good episode, but there's some concerning elements that are carrying over from the first episode that might not lead to making the series as good as the series could be, with like cut corners, some pacing issues, and pretty much just, disappointing the longtime fans. But if it can work that itself out, this has a good chance to be a decent series.
Honestly, from what I can see from all the product placement or whatnot, there's a lot of hype surrounding God of High School. Like, this is supposed to be the next it anime where everyone's supposed to fall in love with. So I hope it delivers. I really hope it does. Now, I believe that's going to be it for us here. If you like what you see here, please, once again, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want to catch us live, we have a Twitch. You can follow us on twitch.tv/nerdent. There we play a whole bunch of games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and whatnot. You can come chill, hang out with us, talk about anime, or talk about some other stuff as well. So, without any further ado, as always, I am the Gentleman Snark.
And I am Flamehawk.
We'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya!
Later.